We're acting like, oh, he's sacrificing football. I'm like, dude, you played for 20 years. Boo fucking who? Like, don't nobody care.
Plenty of people care.
But his children care.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am your host, Dr. Nee. I'm joined by...
Dr. Renee. Yes.
That was much better.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. So listen, just so y'all know, I don't watch football. I haven't watched football since 2017. We can do another episode as to why 2017 is key. But just know, I don't watch football. And I normally don't get into other people, particularly married people's business.
What? Where is this going?
But there's been some stuff going on with this high-powered couple, particularly in football, that I was like, this is going to be a really interesting conversation that I would love to have with you. So you've heard of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So Tom Brady is quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but for almost 20 years was the quarterback, highly accomplished. They consider him to be the greatest of all time, the GOAT for football.
Okay.
Right. And he's married to Giselle Bündchen. I think that's how you say her name, who is an extremely, I'd probably say just as well accomplished model, supermodel, as well as entrepreneur as he is, probably more so known than he is, makes a significant amount of money. They got married in 2009. They have 3 kids. And basically since 2018, she's been kind of saying, hey, listen, like, you've won all of these Super Bowls. Maybe it's time that you kind of slow down, right? So recently we found out that there's been a rift in their relationship, mainly because he retired at the end of last season.
Okay.
And his retirement lasted 40 days.
Wait, what? Well, he died or something?
No, his retirement lasted 40 days, and he was like, I'm back. I'm coming back. And one of the part of the reasons that he said that...
He beat Jordan's record.
Well, Jordan lasted 2 years.
Right, that's what I said. He beat Jordan's record.
But a retirement of only 40 days lets you know that there's some things going on at home that maybe he's just like, I'm not ready to be... Well, anyway,
we don't know that.
We can't...
We can't say why he went 40 days.
But he did say that he wants to spend more time with family. He wants to spend more time with his kids. And, you know, he just doesn't want to miss out on those things. Some of his kids are preteen and so forth. And
that's what he said when he retired.
Absolutely.
A month before.
Yeah. So there's a People magazine article, and there's multiple things out there that says Tom Brady and wife Giselle Bündchen hitting a rough patch in marriage. There's a lot of tension. Basically, she wasn't thrilled at all when Brady went back to the NFL after a brief retirement. And it came to a point where it's preseason, and he ended up having to take an 11-day vacation. Not even a vacation, 11-day just kind of sabbatical to get back home to be with wife and kids, because there was like, if mama ain't happy, and
nobody happy.
Ain't nobody happy. So the reason I'm bringing up this topic is because, you know, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of sacrifice to be an amazing football player, not to mention one of the best of all time. And it's very interesting as someone who's already the most accomplished in their sport, the most accomplished in their career, yet they still keep going. That dynamic.
Can't stop, won't stop.
How much longer should they keep going with that, knowing that they have kids, knowing that they have a wife? Then you throw on top of that, your wife is just as successful as you are, if not more successful than you are, has more of a net worth than you do, right?
So she could just basically take her boots.
As an entrepreneur, in 1 year, she made, and this is her with kids, as an entrepreneur, not modeling, with kids, she made more than he did in a yearly salary in the
These
NFL.
boots were made for walking.
So I'm just saying that this is so many interesting dynamics with this.
Okay.
So what do you say in those type of situations? Like, she wants him to come home. She said in an article that, you know, basically, this is what she said. She said, he's in a sport where, you know, he's getting hit multiple times. She's really concerned about, you know, what's going to happen to him, and, you know, eventually taking
like
all these different hits. He wants
like
him to be, she wants him to be home and spend more time. You know, at one point he said that in 2018 she wasn't satisfied with their marriage. A couple of years ago, she didn't feel like I was doing my part for the family. She felt like I would play football all season and she would take care of the house. And then all of a sudden, when the season ended, I'd be like, great, let me get into all of my other business activities. Let me get into my football training. Well, when you are going to do things for the house. Or she's like, well, when are you going to do things for the house? When are you going to take the kids to school and all that? And he realized that was a big wake-up call and made a big transition. But he's back in the NFL. He's playing. I want to know what your thoughts are in a situation
How long has he been playing?
Since 2002, 2003.
Damn.
Right. He has the most Super Bowls out of anybody. He has 3 more.
That's 20 freaking years.
Yeah. He has 3 more years more.
How old is he?
So I want to ask you, he's 44, 45.
Jesus.
So I want to ask you, in that type of situation, who's being selfish here? Because she sacrificed her career.
Well, right? She's still making more than him, though.
And it's interesting. I want to get your point as a woman. What do you think?
Damn. I mean, football is a very taxing, it's a very taxing career for someone to have, not just physically, but like, just time-wise, right? It just takes up so much time. So I would imagine that if you actually created a family, that the time would be taxing on them also, right? Like, you have football camps, and you have away games, and you have all these types of different events. You might have endorsements that you have to do. There's going to be a lot of time when you're just not around. And so my thought is that...
Is she being selfish?
I don't know that she's being selfish, but I also don't know what the private conversations are between them.
All right, but let's act like we do. Let's pod.
I am podding. What I'm saying is I don't know what the private conversations are between them. I don't know, it's hard to say, right? Because you could look at a couple outwardly and just decide, this is probably what's going on between them. First of all, they putting their business out on Front Street, which to me is kind of like, why are you doing that in the first place? You got kids. Everybody doesn't need to know like everything that's going on in your household. But there is something to be said about being honest and, sharing your story and hopefully helping others. I don't know what their issue is as to why they're deciding to share, but obviously it doesn't seem like it does seem like it's contentious. Let's just put it like that.
Okay, so as the podcast host, I'm going to put you on who's being selfish. Is she being selfish or he's being selfish?
I would say he's being selfish.
Why?
So you created this career. You've dedicated time to this career. You've dedicated 20 years to this career. You created this family. Now, you certainly supplied, or provided for this family. But the question is, did you? I mean, he did, right?
Not in a traditional sense, he provided for the family.
No, I'm talking about financially.
Not in a traditional sense, he financially provided for the family.
What do you mean?
She's worth way more than she is.
I understand that, but I would assume he's not like, no, don't give those kids my money.
I know, but I'm just saying though, like when you say provide, it seems as though
I'm not saying he's breadwinner.
It puts us but
no.
I just want to clarify that because it puts a sense of like he's the breadwinner when clearly he's not.
No, I said he provided, meaning he contributed. Is that a better word?
I think
for
that's
you?
better.
He contributed financially to this family, most likely, right? But he also created a family which requires time, attention, right? Like, you can't be like, well, I'm going to have kids and then walk away and think that by virtue of literally just donating a sperm that you have created a family and been, and do the things that you need to do in order to provide other things that this family needs.
Okay.
Right? So kids need more than just watching their dad on TV, right? Kids need their dad actually present. It's like, well, you the GOAT, you the GOAT football player, but you trash as a dad, right? Like, so for me, I feel like he is being selfish. And it's not just to her, it's to the family as a unit. So the other day I was watching, I was on Instagram and I was going through a reel, and there was this gentleman who was talking about marriage, and he was saying, you don't marry somebody. I thought this was very interesting, but he said, you don't marry someone because you're in love with them. That's not why you marry somebody. You marry someone because you're in love with the idea of marriage, right? That the idea of marriage appeals to you, right? In other words, marriage is not something for someone who doesn't feel like they're marriage material. So if someone says, I never really thought about getting married. I never thought I was marriage material until I met you, then you have a very high likelihood, according to what this gentleman was saying, you have a very high likelihood that marriage is not going to last because that person actually
Renée,
doesn't see themselves as marriage material. The question is, does Tom Brady see himself as marriage material?
Well, he's already married, right?
No. Hold on. Being married and being marriage material is not the same thing. People are married all the time, but they don't act married. He's not acting married. He is not acting like he is not acting like he created a family in this sense.
That is not the question. The question is somebody being selfish in this situation?
I answer the question.
Is she being selfish or he's being selfish?
I answer the question.
That he's being selfish.
I believe that he's being selfish, and the reason that I do is based on what at least what you have read, right? Is that first of all, he retired. Now, nobody retires without talking to their wife, especially in football, right? Nobody retires. Nobody walks off the field one day and just, stay at home. And then the wife comes and you not going to practice, you not going to work. And then he goes, oh, I retired, right? So they obviously had a conversation about him retiring because nobody does that, right? But he goes back. Now, the fact that she's complaining says, well, we agreed that he would retire and then he went back.
Well,
which I don't agree with.
Well, she was complaining before that also. She was complaining. She had an issue before that. She was concerned about his health and all of these different things and so forth. See, I look at it differently. I look at it as, I think the easy way is to look at it as a vacuum, right? Like you are entering into a relationship with someone, like they married and, they started dating and they started getting married at the height of his career, right? When you already knew that this guy was gone for 6 or so months and he's playing football and he's the best quarterback even at that point 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
You're used to him being gone for a significant period of time. Right?
Okay.
So why all of a sudden 10 years later, this is when things change?
Because you owe.
But he's okay. So this is where I wanna get your
you
opinion.
old, and I don't want you in my house when you got CBI issues, and now I can't even divorce you because you're disabled, and I gotta stay with you.
I got you there, but on the real, right? Less than 2 years ago, he won a Super Bowl. Right?
Okay.
And in the year before that, which was last year where he retired, he almost made the Super Bowl. So he's still the top. He's still at the top of it. He's old, but he's still at the top of his game. So I bring that into what we do, right? As physicians or, whatever it may be.
That's exactly
right?
what I was thinking.
As physicians, right? Let's say, for example, I'm at the top of my game as a physician and I am in my 50s or 60s and I'm coming up with all these different surgical techniques that's saving the world and all these different things and I'm still working at it. Obviously, there's a sacrifice that I think he already accepts as a football player, and there's already going to be sacrifices that I would accept and so forth, right? And there's a certain lifestyle that I think that you have already accepted being with me, or that she accepted with being with him, right? You don't think so?
I think so. I'm going to say this. What I'm going to say is that plans can change.
Yes, obviously.
And he can't play football until he's 70. Well, he could if he wanted to, I guess. I don't know what team would take him, but he could go outside and play flag football all day long if he actually wanted to until he was 70, right? But that would probably not be a very good idea, and it probably would not make for a very good relationship. So one of the things that we know in medicine is that a lot of couples, end up sacrificing a lot. Right?
Yeah, one side is going to sacrifice for the greater good.
Right, for the greater good. So, they're going to sacrifice. Usually it's one person who sacrifices more. But yes, both of them make some sacrifices. But to what end, right? And when I say end, I mean literally end, right? Because something's got to end. Either the way you working like a crazy person has to end, or the relationship has to end. Something has to end.
But you have to also keep in mind that you are marrying, at this point where we get to these certain levels, physician, certain types of athletes, Like, they are drunk with the success. They are drunk with the process. They are drunk with waking up and being part of
You think
training camp.
supermodels are not?
Well, she sacrificed her career, right? She sacrificed her career, so she obviously, there is, what's the best way I want to say it? She's probably less, I don't want to say, she's less maniacal about her career than he is, right? I'm not saying that she's not as good as,
Right.
obviously she's just as good as he is,
Right.
but she's less maniacal about her career than he
Right.
is. And she has the ability to be like, whoa. What's important to me is family, right? And all these different things.
Right.
I'm not necessarily, just because I'm taking the point that I'm taking doesn't mean that I necessarily disagree with what you're saying.
I know.
I'm just saying that this is a really interesting conversation, right? Because part of what I'm also arguing is that you knew who you was marrying, right?
Well, but he knew who he was marrying too. Now, if she decided, listen, I don't want to have kids because I got to keep this body in shape, or I am going to have kids, but you know what? I got to go to Paris. I got to go to Italy. I got to go to this place. I got to go to that place. And somebody got to raise these kids. So we're just going to leave them with nannies all day long, and we'll see them 6 months out of the year. I wonder how that would have gone over with him. Because, so my point is this. My point is...
What is... I don't get that point.
My point is this. My point is he dedicated himself to something.
Right. Well, he dedicated himself to the marriage as well as to football. And one is winning over the other.
I don't know that he dedicated himself to the marriage.
Well, how can he say he didn't dedicate himself to... I don't understand
Just because you're married doesn't mean that you're dedicated to a marriage, Nee. Being married is literally just a process of going, you do, yes. You do, yes. Kiss the bride. That's a marriage.
So you don't believe in priorities?
So, okay.
I don't understand.
Okay. So, right. Now we talking.
Right.
So, priorities and dedication, right, aren't necessarily the same thing either.
Right. So that's why I'm saying with you that I think using the term dedicated versus priorities are two separate things. And maybe you shouldn't be using dedicated. You should be using a priority.
No, because dedicated is the thing that you usually prioritize the most. That's the thing that you're like, nope, I am committed to this. I am dedicated to this. This is my, number one priority. And it seems like for him, despite the fact that he got married and he had a family, his dedication is actually to his career.
Is there anything wrong with that? That happens all the time, and that's
I'm not
extremely
saying
common.
no. I didn't say no.
Right.
But in the case where it is now causing turmoil in a family, then, yeah, it becomes a problem.
Yeah, but you can't just... Okay, so that's where I'm bringing up the point of you've married someone. They call this guy Psycho Tom, by the way, right? You've married someone who is like extremely dedicated, right? And doing all of these different things to keep themselves in tip-top order, is playing one of the toughest positions, the most, the position in terms of sports in the entire world that has the most attention, right? Like, you can't just turn that off, right? So... And he tried to turn it off. It lasted 40 days. You cannot just turn that off, right? There's a reason why Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. There's a reason why LeBron is LeBron.
And that's why there's a reason that a lot of these athletes don't necessarily have the greatest relationships either.
That's fine. But we're not here arguing about who has a great relationship or not. What we're arguing about, or what we're discussing right now, is she selfish for asking him or giving him a hard time because he ended his retirement and said, look, man, I just want to get back to what I really like to do. I like to be with the boys and spend all this time and play football and go to the best and really to compete at the highest level. And maybe that brings a certain level of cachet to the family name. Maybe he's saying, I'm playing for the family name, right? Even though he may sacrifice, he probably already is sacrificing, relationships with his wife
and
with his kids. But he's saying overall, the journey will be worth it because when they get to see what's in the rafters, right? It's like the same thing with Kobe, right? Kobe was notoriously known for, I don't have any friends. I don't believe in friends. What really lasts over time is the championships, right? And he got excoriated for that, right? And it just seems as though once his personality changed, right, where he was a lot more, He was a lot more open with fellow athletes. He was a lot more providing a lot more mentorship. It took a lot of the gruff away from him, right? And a lot of those comments that he said in the past, people are like, that's who he is. And obviously, as since he's died, like his the way in which people look at him has, skyrocketed, right? So what I'm saying is that I think to some extent, I think that we do appreciate people who are very psycho in their ways and stuff, right? And I think that we give them a certain level of props for that. So, but what I'm saying overall is I actually think both of them are being selfish, right? I think both of them are being selfish. Like, one, I think that after a while, it's like, dude, how many more championships are you going to win? Like, how many more championships do you want in light of sacrificing the health and the sanctity, so to speak, of this marriage, as well as your kids and so forth? How many more championships you want, right? It has already been reported that he got offered $300 and something million from Fox Sports to be a broadcaster afterwards. So it's not like when he's done playing football.
It's not like he ain't got nothing to do.
He's going to be on the, but you know how this works. Like, he's going to be on the road. He's going to have to do research on the upcoming football teams. He's going to have to, hopefully he's good at this. We don't even know if he's even good at any of this stuff, right? So there's going to be a career post. And then there's also news that when he, before he went to Tampa Bay, when he was deciding to leave New England, that he was actually going to go to the Miami Dolphins. It was going to be like a sweetheart deal where he'd play for the Miami Dolphins maybe for a year or two and then transition into the C-suite, the upper office of Miami, and then eventually will become an owner, right? And what that's supposed to mean is that now we're talking about not, like athlete quarterback money, but we're talking about generational, ridiculous wealth, which he already has, but like we're talking about exponential, right? So,
yeah, I don't think they're both being selfish. No. I don't think they're both being selfish. I don't think that it is unreasonable to ask someone who created a family to spend time with their family. I do not think that that is unreasonable. Now, what would be unreasonable is if she wanted to start a family with him and said, listen, now I want to have kids, where he might have said before, not too keen on having kids. Right. At that point, I would have said, well, you're being selfish because this guy told you before he didn't want to have kids, and now you're trying to hold his feet to the fire, to have children that he said he didn't want to have. Dude, you have, 3 children?
Yeah, he has 3 children.
Preteen?
I think either early teens or preteens.
You're missing their formative years? You're going to miss a lot. You're going to miss a lot. And see, what people don't realize about children is that they say, well, I'll do this now and I'll spend time with my kids later. You know what your kids want to do later? They want to spend time with you. That's time for them to leave the house. They're going to college. They're going out with their friends. They're doing all kinds of things.
Yeah, they want to take that generational wealth, though.
And?
They want to get that scholarship.
And you put them on the earth, you might as well give them something because you didn't give them time. You didn't give them time. You might as well give them dollars.
I feel you.
Right? So
I feel you on that one. I think, go ahead.
I just don't think it's unreasonable for a mother to be thinking about her children and saying, listen, like, these kids need you. Like, you can't be out playing, literally playing all day.
But what if but see, I think the thing that's different is that he's really good. I can understand if he was going from team to team to team to team.
That doesn't negate children needing him.
Well,
that doesn't, listen, you could be the greatest surgeon in the world. That doesn't negate your children needing you. If that's the case, then dude, don't create children. You shouldn't have had children. You shouldn't have. And let me tell you
there's
something.
There's a lot of people who I don't agree with. One of them being, the person who I really can't stand is Skip Bayless.
I agree with him.
Yeah.
I agree with him.
One thing I do have to agree is that the level of dedication to literally make a business, make a TV career out of trolling athletes on a daily basis takes a level of dedication and a level of maniacal dedication, maniacal research, studying, that he said to his wife Ernestine that I didn't want to have kids.
Exactly. But see, let me tell you something. As much as you hate Skip Bayless, that decision...
I love Shannon, though.
Of course we love Shannon.
You got a part in your hair.
No, I don't have my part. I don't have my part. But I got to go back to the hairdresser and get my Shannon part. But
keep your mic in.
It's in check. It's in check. But as much as Skip Bayless is dedicated to his career, he realized that it was going to be too much for him to be able to have children and do this thing that they call, trolling athletes, right?
Or he just probably doesn't care about kids that much, maybe. Or he maybe just doesn't care about kids that
or
much.
maybe that, no. Well, he may not care about kids that much because he got something else that he actually cares about.
Right.
And it sounds like Tom Brady checked the box, to tell you the truth. It sounds like he checked the box. He was like, oh, I'm a guy, you know.
You think Tiger Woods check the box?
I don't really know Tiger Woods' story enough to say that he checked the box. You tell if you share.
Look at you being all responsible.
I don't know his story enough to say that he checked the box. I don't know.
This guy? She's
but I will tell you, a lot of people check boxes. Doctors check boxes all the time.
Trauma surgeons.
Shut up. OBGYNs. Doctors check boxes all the time, right? You have a career, then you decide, okay, well, I'm going to get married, then I'm going to have children. You check these boxes, these social boxes that you think, you know, are going to give you some sort of status. And let's face it, marriage does give people a certain status in this society. And so the reality is, dude, if you are not dedicated to marriage, if you are not in love with the idea of marriage and
so being in love and marriage means you sacrifice your career?
No, I didn't say no. First of all, he wouldn't have sacrificed his 20-year career. Well, if he retired now, that would be sacrificing.
But he's still at the top of his. Basically, what she's saying, or if him stopping is Liv saying, "Hey, listen, I'm cutting short my career for my family," even though he's at the top of his game and could win another Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. It's just that type of this. But he could win a Super Bowl.
Of course, he could win a Super Bowl.
Not everybody could win a Super Bowl.
I didn't say everybody could win a Super Bowl. Of course, he could win a Super Bowl, but I mean, the reality is,
professionally, he's still at the top of his game. And I think this makes it very otherwise this is an easy discussion, right? Like, you old, you need to go. Like,
no, but
you on the bench, you breaking ribs and all this. That's not the case with this guy. This is someone
right. But the other side is that your children need you. Your children need you.
Your trump card or something like that?
No, your children need you. There are probably things that are going on with his children that he's not even aware of. Most likely, he is not aware of all the things that are going on with his children.
But in a normal relationship, and someone who works a 9 to 5, there are things that they miss that they're not aware of, that their children is going, that maybe the spouse may be aware of, or whoever's at home may be aware of, the nanny may be aware of, that both working parents don't know about.
I understand that, but there's also literally not being there and then going, hey, I quit football to be with you guys. Oh, by the way, I don't want to be with you guys no more. I'm going back to football.
With the last tracks of what we have in this conversation.
Come on.
Could you see yourself in that situation? Could you see yourself in a situation where let's say, I don't know, whatever it is in medicine, or maybe with this podcast where, you know, when I'm here, I am doing this, and there are some sacrifices that need to be made.
Listen, you misunderstand me. I don't have a problem.
To the mic, please.
I don't. That don't sound right, Nee. Anyway, that sacrifices need to be made is not an issue. The question is.
Then what are we talking about here then?
The question is. What is the ultimate sacrifice? Because right now it sounds like the ultimate sacrifice is, listen, I'm not sacrificing football. I will sacrifice my family for as long as I need to, because you people that I created are not going to get in my way. That's the sacrifice that he's making. We're acting like, oh, he's sacrificing football. I'm like, dude, you played for 20 years. Boo fucking who? Like, don't nobody care.
Plenty of people care.
So, but his children care.
But we don't know exactly what they're saying.
Oh, okay, yeah. We don't know what they're saying. They're not like, oh man, I really want my dad to be home. Come on.
For the record.
Whatever.
For the record, I think he's being selfish. I'm just saying.
No, you said both of them were being selfish.
I think she's also being selfish.
Hold fast.
I think she's being selfish.
Aim high, Willis. Aim high.
I think she's being selfish mainly. I think they're both being selfish. I think for obvious reasons, you know, you are marrying someone who is a type A, high achieving individual, but also at the same time, I agree with you. Like, dude, you started a family. Like, when are you going to, you know, go ahead and be with the family? It's like Nick Cannon, right? Nick Cannon.
Don't even get me started on that.
Obviously, no way that he's going to be a quote unquote father to all of these different kids.
Don't get me started
but he's providing.
It's freaking Johnny Appleseed.
But he's providing.
Stop.
He's providing monetary support.
Stop.
Right? So I don't know. But anyway, guys, what do y'all think? I'm very interested.
Nick Cannon's like, if he get lost, he could find his way home. Because he father to everybody on the block.
Hey, Alfred, go ahead and put our phone number.
Phone number, yes.
Go ahead and put our phone number so people can text us and let us know their thoughts on this. Should the spouse who's at home be a little bit more cognizant, a little bit more flexible with someone who's
20
high
years.
achieving and is still at the top of their game 20 years, 25 years later, and they're still whatever the equivalent of whatever the Super Bowl is in their respective careers. Should they be more sensitive to that? Or at the same time, should someone who's already gotten everything in the world just say, yo, I'm done. It's time to spend time with my family. Very interested to see what y'all have to say. And that is time.
That's it.
Okay? That's what the iPhone says. The iPhone says we are out of time. You don't even know how to turn that off, do you?
I don't. Whatever.
That's a great cue for us to stop. But listen, this was a great conversation. This is something that is obviously pop culture related, but also at the same time really closely related to what we
Medicine,
do.
yeah.
What we do as from a standpoint, right? Because
yeah.
people know that you are a OB, you are board certified, but you spend some of your time, or you spend a majority of your time at home.
At home with my kids.
With the kids, as well as running Docs Outside the Box.
Yes.
And I am on the road cutting people up, suturing them back together, and then I come in, I drop in and I pod, and then I am out. So this is a really, really interesting conversation. But listen, we will catch you guys on the next episode of Docs Outside the Box. Make sure you write in and let us know what you think.
Wait. One more thing. So I had an attending real quick who did retire at the age of, I believe he was 74. He retired finally at 74, and 4 months later he was dead. So I just want to say that, after a while, you got to think about what you're really sacrificing. You may not have that time.
Well, what did he die of?
I don't know what
he
he died
died
of.
because of his career?
I don't know what he died of. What I'm saying is you don't know what you're actually sacrificing. That time you think that you're going to have at the end catches up with you real fast, and you don't have it anymore. So,
hey guys, I'm Dr. Nee. This is Dr. Debbie Downer. We will catch y'all on the next episode of Docs Outside the Box.
peace.
They both being selfish. Peace.